I'm going to give the similarity of the topics that I gave you or the tips have a lot of similarities with the US soccer courses. Okay, so our first tip will be a good role model. In order for you to be a great motivator for your players, they need to believe that you can walk the talk. Not only talk the talk, but walk the talk. And for that, okay, you need to come prepare. Have the area ready. What those players want to do when they get to practice, they want to play. They don't want to be waiting for you, okay, to set up. So a great motivation tool is have the area ready. Put them to play as soon as you can. Okay? Greet the players when they arrive. Say, hello, how are you doing? That's a good way on how to start building up a good relationship. And they also show them that you care about them. Okay? Follow the agreed upon rules. Whatever rules your team has agreed, not only be the judge, but also be a part of following those rules. Dedicate time to players. In breaks at the very beginning, spend some time with a player. Not the same player all the time, but try to get time with players so you can start building up the personal relationship that you need with the players in order to then be able to motivate them and understand how they can be motivated later on. Okay? And the most important thing about being a role model is stick to your word. Sometimes coaches make rules or they say they're going to do something and then they take it back. Kids and players in general don't like this. We lose sometimes value as a person who can be a motivator, as a person who can be a person who can exercise some type of power over them when we go back, when we become Indian givers. Our second tip will be set up an environment for success. The number one motivator in a soccer practice, in a soccer game, should be the game itself. So your environment should be conducive to play the game. It should look like their game. So if you're coaching 10-year-old players, it should look like a 10-year-old players. Don't force your players at an early age to be playing like Barcelona or Bayern Munich or whatever. They should play like 10 players, and then get them better so they can have a smooth transition from the U10 to the U12. The environment itself should be motivating enough for them to try all the things that you're going to have prepared for them in practice. Be clear in your demonstrations and explanation. This is a good time to sell the why. Why are we doing this? Be clear, demonstrate, explain it, tell them the why. And then so they understand perfectly. And of course, check for understanding. When you check for understanding, you now know that they more or less know what is demanded of them. But at the same token, you know that they understand the roles that they're going to play in that activity. This will motivate them because they can say, I can do this, or I cannot do this, coach can help me. Or you can observe, and then through individual feedback, coaching on the flow, then you can help that player. Okay? Challenge them. Once you explain it, once you demo, when you check for understanding, now challenge them. That challenge is a tool of motivation. Whatever the activity is, it's a defending activity, an attacking activity, either passing, just Put a challenge on there. Try to keep track who rises to the challenge, who might be having trouble, and that's the person that now you're going to have to spend some energy, some time trying to figure out how you're going to get them to be better or improve at what the activity demands. Allow for problem solving. One of the things that we want is players that are motivated to be able to solve the problems. And that's what we ask questions. And that's what we want them to take the risk. That's what we want them to figure it out. And most important of all is, to me at least, is tell the players that it's okay to make mistakes. It is okay to make mistakes. Yes, sir.
Could you give us an example of how to set up an environment success that would be motivating? So let's give us a solid example of a moment in a practice where you'd have set up the environment to be successful, and that would help motivate the players.
For example, in the practice play, get your 2 mini fields ready with the goals, with the balls already organized around each of the fields, with the pennies out there laid down in the way that you want them to play. And then you bring them in and you say, okay, guys, you two in the red team, you two in the blue team, go and get to play right away. Something like that will be a great example for, at least to me, for setting up that type of environment. Can I continue here?
Please do.
Okay, good. Develop a good relationship with the player. It is very difficult to motivate anyone if the person doesn't trust you, doesn't know you, doesn't know where you're coming from. And for that, you must show that you care. Theodore Roosevelt says, nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And that is totally true of any of us. If you show me that you care, then I'm going to be willing to take feedback for you. I'm going to be willing to really consider what you say to me on how I need to improve and the things that I need to improve. That same goes with the kids. They need to feel that what you say to them, it is truly what they need to improve at. So when they know that that's what you want them for them to do, they're going to be not only more willing to take that advice, but also act upon it. And it will be easier for you to have a better impact on them. Be respectful. Treat the kids like you want to be treated. Show them respect so they can be respectful. Be a good listener. If you ask a player, what do you think you need to do better? Then listen to them. Listen. Maybe they already know it, but they don't know how. They know it in their head. They understand what they do, but somehow there is not that head-feet connection yet. So how can we get them to understand the mechanics of it, or vice versa? So be a good listener. Do not compare players. Understand that each player is an individual. Sometimes we might make that mistake and say, well, look at Johnny. That's how they do it. No. Concentrate on him. It is your time that you're going to give to that player, and you got to find a way how you can convince them that he can achieve that task, even in a small degree. I always tell my players, today, if you improve 1%, that's success. So we work in the 1 success rule. Okay, 4, build up confidence and self-esteem. At the younger ages, players sometimes equate being good with the amount of effort. So we always should recognize the amount of effort. If a player is truly trying hard to achieve the tasks that you have set up in front of them, we need to recognize that they're trying hard. Then is when we try to then ask and coach them and perhaps say, hey, we have this challenge for you. Hey, can you do this and what you need to do that? But by recognizing that they are trying hard, that they really want to improve, is the beginning. They know now that you are observing not only them, but every player, and you recognizing the quantity of the effort. And perhaps the effort is good, but now perhaps if you make this tweak here, if you get your foot off the ground a little bit, if you get your body behind, then let's go and try it. Let me see it. And sometimes that got a lot of power for them. Tony DeCicco, when he wrote the book after the World Cup, he had a phrase, catch him doing good. That is important, and it has to do with recognizing the effort. But now, after we coach them, after we give them a challenge to motivate them, now we catch them doing good. For example, good pass to Rogers between two defenders. Great 1v1 to get in the box. Fantastic tackle to get back the ball with your left foot. Okay. Now they are understanding that you're not only watching, but that they pay attention to what you say, and you are observing them getting better. For them, that's motivating enough. They're saying, he really cares. Be specific in your praise. And many times we coaches say, good pass, great job. For the kids, that is good for them, but they don't really know what they did well. They know that you recognize that they did something well, and they might say, well, perhaps was the pass. Perhaps was this. But when you make it as specific as I wrote them in blue right there, that even makes it better, because not only shows them that you are paying attention to them, that they pay attention to you, but now you also are motivating the other players, okay, to copy Johnny when he passes to Roger, to perhaps do the same type of pass when the opportunity is on. Give a specific challenge to players. Every time we have an activity, every time we go to a game, can we set up a challenge? Can we perhaps get today on Johnny? I say, Johnny, you play in midfielder, okay? What do you think you should challenge yourself with today? Let him tell you about that. Then ask him, okay, that's great. So go and do it. Unless perhaps we can have somebody to keep track. Perhaps we can, every time he does it, acknowledge it. Okay, but always challenge the players. You'll be surprised. Players like that. And of course, be positive. Be very positive. Yes, anyone?
Loy,
anyone?
Yeah, we have a couple of questions come through on the chat here. So if you want to give these a stab. And by
Yes,
the way,
please.
for all of you watching, we appreciate you taking the time. You're essentially going through what a Tuesday staff meeting feels like, with Loy talking to us, and every once in a while we get a chance to answer. That I have throwing some humour in there. So I see, Gareth, you're still not laughing. I'll work harder on my jokes. All right. So the first question is from Tom Scott. What is the best policy to keep the weaker player up to speed with the group who are having far more success in the activities?
What is the best policy to keep the
weaker player up to speed with the group who are having, so the better players are able to do what you've asked them to do. The weaker players are struggling a little bit. what's the best way to get the weaker players up to speed? Which will tie into the next question from Garrow, but I'll let you answer that one first. So you've got a bunch of players who are able to perform the task. You've got a couple of players who are still struggling. How do you get those struggling players to be able to get up to speed, at least as close as you can in the time you're given with the task?
Well, depending what the task is, but what I would say is, can we break the task for them down? If it is a passing task and they're having problems receiving the ball, okay, so we say, hey, can you receive the ball in this manner? Once they got to receive the ball in this manner, then can you now make the pass and strike the ball in this way? So break it down for them. Because the reason why they are the weakest players is because perhaps they don't have all the techniques down. So break it down for them and encourage them, motivate them just to work on the receiving. Of course, a pass is going to have to come after that, but if they can receive the ball in a way in which would allow them to make the pass, then we're almost there.
So breaking down the skill in question,
Yes.
so that they can do it in bite-sized chunks.
Yes.
All right, so that ties in the next question from Garrow. We got one more after that from Lou. From Garrow, how can you motivate all your players? For example, if you are focusing on the ones that are on the lower level, the higher skill level players will lose focus.
Okay. You can have group challenges per se. You can say, hey, Johnny, Billy, and Tommy, this is your challenge for this game, for this activity. And Billy, Louis, and Jose, this is your challenge for this activity. Once again, one challenge can be more comprehensive than the other. Okay? Chunk it out. You already know what player can do more than the other player that can do less. So in psychology, sometimes when we have a client, sometimes cognitively, we cannot teach them everything all at once. So for some people that are more mature, we could. Other people, we're just going to have to, little by little, help them to change. So once again, it will be how we introduce the motivating challenge. How do we can encourage them and can really kind of like affect them in order to make the challenge happen on them. The change is not going to happen right away because it's a matter of confidence. It's a matter of ability. If they don't have it there, then it's up to us just to break it down in order to make it easier for the player to be successful. It's all about creating that successful environment for the player, depending on his or her ability.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, I would also throw in there that, you know, in an effort to develop some leadership qualities in those who can right now, have the ones who can right now go and help the ones who can't yet. What you'll find is that by empowering your players and challenging them to help the players who can't do it so well yet, to bring them up to speed or get them close, you'll see some really good things happening with the chemistry within your group. So don't put it all on yourself as the coach is what I would say. You know, yeah, you can, for sure you can bite-sized chunk it and try and break the skill down. But I would also suggest that you challenge the ones who can, the better players, to help the ones who can't yet, the also known as weaker players, to see if they can help them along. It doesn't always work, admittedly, but certainly something else you can try.
Yeah,
Loy, we've got more questions, so just hang on.
Yes.
We've got Lou Mignon. Lou says, Coach, do you believe that this challenge, struggle, and achievement of success relates to the basic psychological need of competence? Oh, that's a cheeky one. Do you believe that this challenge, struggle, and achievement of success relates to the basic psychological need of competence?
Well,
the self-determination theory right there.
Yes. self-efficacy or self-determination theory? And the answer for Lou is yes. It's depending what is the degree of my ability will determine the effectiveness of my performance. Also, we determine how I see myself compared to the other players, the level of confidence, okay, how I act and react and participate, and even how I am going to speak with that group. If I happens to be the less skillful, then perhaps I'm going to be the shyest one. But if I happen to be the most skillful, perhaps I'm going to have so much confidence that I'm just going to do what I always do. So yes, the level of competency is have a direct impact with the level of performance.
All right, very good. Thanks for that. Hussein, I'm going to let you ask your question. I've actually figured out how to open up the mic for you. So if you want to ask your question about how you build relationships.
Yes, how do you build a relationship?
I cannot hear him.
Well, we'll give him a try, and if you can't hear him, I'll read this question for you. Go ahead, Hussein.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Ian can hear you, but I can't.
All right. Ian asked a question.
Okay, I'll ask the question. How do you build a relationship with a player who doesn't want it or builds a wall around him or herself? And Lawrence, we'll get to you next.
That's a very, very, very interesting question. Well,
Three varies.
Well, first of all,
That's very good.
you need to know why he or she is there. We know already that many players can be in the field with us for many, many reasons. And if he's there because the mom and dad just put him in there, then that could be one of the reasons why he's not even interested in talking to you. Okay? But if he really wants to be there and he's kind of shy, then you need to start gaining his trust, gaining his confidence. He needs to tear down those barriers himself. You can help him by showing them how much you care for him, by showing them that you're there to assist them, not to judge them, by showing them that, yes, you are his coach, but at the same time, you're going to be a friend and an adult that is there to help him. So that's perhaps how you can start building up a relationship. So the arrival to the practice, the arrival to the game, involving him in some activities in which he has something to say, that he understands that whatever he says or do is important for the whole team, is a good strategy. Any questions about that?
I would definitely agree with that, in terms of building relationships. I'd also suggest if you've got somebody who isn't willing to open up, they're potentially a shy, introverted type player, and maybe forcing them to participate right off the bat is not the best thing. If they look as though they're not really willing to engage, maybe have them stand by you, have them observe the practice while they're at your side, because you have to monitor them for the sake of safety. And maybe just create a conversation with them about what's going on with them that day. How was school? How's, got any homework, any favorite pets? Just engage them in anything that's not really soccer related. And then see if you can get them to engage. Just every once in a while within the conversation, say, hey, does this look like it's any fun to you? And if the answer at some point is yes, say, if you want to jump in, just feel like jumping in at any time. It's not a bad way to do it. It seems like it would be counterintuitive to pull them out of the practice session, but I'm telling you, you force them to participate, and it can actually force them further into the little shell that they've created around themselves. So, I'm on the same page as Loy in the fact that you've got to create the rapport with them, but it doesn't necessarily have to be done on the soccer front, on the soccer field.
No,
So you do have to monitor the safety.
To add to that, Ian, the chances are if that person is in a shell, he or she will not participate from the get-go. They are going to assess the situation first. And you see that a lot with U6s and some U8s, right? That they just going to start from afar, and then little by little, they step closer to the action S. Okay, so yes, it is a good idea to do that.
Outstanding. Okay, Lawrence, I'm going to open up your mic so you can air your comment regarding the slanty line theory. Lawrence, you're on.
I'm on. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. I was just wondering about other approaches when you have a wide range of players. I know in the past we've always talked about something like the slanted line, where you change what success looks like for each player, basically, and let them choose.
Yes.
So would that be, another way for us to deal with that wide range of players?
Well, when I had the questions about the more skillful players and the less skillful players, I say break it down to parts. The slanted lines, what it is if we're going to do juggle, the best players can do 10, you can do 2. And then if you achieve 2, can you do 3? So yes, it will also be helpful if you can slant it. Yes, sure. Okay, and it's a means of motivation because there's always that challenge. When you do 2, now can you do 3? So
Right.
That is the motivational challenge is already there.
Right, because what I like to do is sort of challenge each person to improve their own performance.
Correct. That's very good. So what I do, I once again, I worked on what I call the 1%. And now I say the minimum that we can improve today is 1% if you want. But it's up to you to improve 10%, 20%, 50%. It's up to them. But to me, if they improve 1% every practice, there is certainly is going to be incredible percentage or rate of improvement by the end of the season. So the way how you find to motivate your players using the slanted line, breaking down the skill is up to you. Here I'm just showing you some tips on how you can do it based on general sports psychology research.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Lloyd, not necessarily questions before you move on, just a couple of comments.
Yes, sir.
Tom Scott said forcing the athlete could negatively affect the session. I agree there. So the sidekick, is that what we're calling it now? The sidekick methodology should work. Well, what I would say is try it and see, and please let us know. And if it doesn't, let us know that too. And then from Karen Kelser, we've got observing the strengths and qualities of players and balancing of the teams and games is also a good way to motivate.
Definitely. We should never force any players to do anything that they don't want to do.
Yep.
Okay, so
Carry on.
I don't believe in anybody being forced. Okay, so it's just like any adult. I mean, in the old days, the coach says, you're going to do it. And I say, I don't want to do it, but I'm going to do it. So you were forced. But today, that doesn't work. Okay, that will be contrary to any positive type of motivation.
Agreed.
Okay, so I don't think I said force them. I just say just find a way. Remember, motivation sometimes is getting the players to do what he or she don't want to do, but that is the only thing that they can do in order to get right. So is how you sell it. How can you sell it to him or to her? For that, you need to know more or less how they think.
Yep.
Okay.
Very good, Lord. Let's move on. Yes, please do.
Okay. The number one thing Players, I don't care what age they are, one is a fun session, fun and competitive. Fun is an element of motivation. Competitiveness is also an element of motivation. So design fun activities. All your activities have to be age appropriate, of course, and you have to bring that fun aspect of playing the game of soccer. Allow them to compete. So these activities have to be game-like, because that's what they want to play. They want to play the game. Drills will not help, because it doesn't look like the game. They want to play the game. You want them to get better at the game. What more motivational thing than playing the game? Okay, compete within the game, because when the game comes on Saturday or Sunday, they're going to be competing. So let's teach them how to compete in a healthy way. Another thing that we need to do to create a training session that's fun and competitive is watch out with your interruptions. How many times are you going to interrupt the player's flow? That totally destroy the ability for that activity to motivate the player in getting better. So use your coach's toolkit. Understand how that coach's toolkit can help you, okay, to still help players out, motivate the individual or the small group involved in whatever you need to fix, while you still allow the rest of the players, okay, get on with the activity. And most important thing, keep a sense of humor. Kids sometimes are going to do things that you go like, what the heck? But you just keep a sense of humor. If they understand that you understand that sometimes things happen and you have a laugh with them, no laughing at them, laugh with them, they will love you, because they also will laugh with you when you do something bad. And believe you me, the way I talk, they're always laughing at me and with me. Okay? And if you practice and everything you coming with as activities, as the environment that you created, okay, have the players enjoying what you're doing and falling in love with the game, that is motivation enough. Because we usually love to do what we like the most. So we're motivated intrinsically and extrinsically with the things that we like to do the most. Even if we don't get paid, we just do it because we like it. So if we, as coaches and adults, make practice fun, so that fun can then go into enjoyment, and then enjoyment can become the love of the game. So you just have created an environment in which the player is going to be self-motivated to enjoy, to keep playing the game for life.
Loy,
Okay.
we have a comment from Mike D. Mike, if you want to just expand on that a little bit about your experience of not interrupting with the session.
I just found myself just kind of motivating a little bit more from the sidelines and using more keywords and not stopping the session and letting them kind of problem solve on their own. And it's been helping tremendously with my teams.
So do you see your team more motivated to get on with the activities, to enjoy the game, to improve in using the keywords and stopping less?
I do. I also have noticed that a lot of them have asked more questions more frequently as well too, of what to do in certain situations. So I've noticed my team has taken more control of their own actions on the field, as opposed to always looking to me.
Very good. Another thing that you can see is what Ian was saying is empowering the better players to help out the not so better players. Also is going to happen by osmosis, because now they have to take care of the game themselves. Have you seen that?
Yes, absolutely. I have. Yes.
Very good. Great.
Thank you.
No, you're very welcome. Thank you. Okay,
Yes,
so we
sir. Move on.
move on. Good. Okay, here's something that not too many coaches do, and I wish, really, we all wish that we do more. It's about helping players to set goals. And we know now that the U.S. soccer courses now are talking about leading the team, leading the player, and we're supposed to get individual meetings with our players to set up goals. But how can you motivate a player if he or she doesn't know what he's supposed to be going to? So now it becomes very important having a meeting. What are we going to do in this meeting? Well, we're going to guide the players on the 3Ds. The 3Ds is help the player in the direction he or she wants to go. What is the goal? Help the players to decide how he or she will accomplish the goal. And then help the player to determine how he or she will execute that decision. The 3Ds. That is a new thing in sports psychology that are coming. The direction, which is the goal, the decision, and then the determination that she's going to need to accomplish the goal. And for that, then, when we have those 3Ds sorted out, we can set up the SMART goals. And after we set up the SMART goals, we make the parents aware of the goals to help the parents to understand what the player needs to do, but also to get the parents involved in helping the kids to keep motivated in order to accomplish his or her goals. And then, of course, we need to check periodically. So it is up to you to decide with the player how many times after you set up your goals are you going to meet to see how he or she are progressing in achieving his or her goals. Any questions about this?
You want to just quickly explain what SMART, the acronym SMART stands for all of those who are not aware? I'm sure many of you are, but just for anybody that isn't.
Okay, the goal is specific, is measurable, is attainable, is realistic, and is timeable. That means it's time bound. Okay, and time bound means I'm going to accomplish this in a month, in 3 weeks, in 2 months, or at the end of the season. No questions? Then I continue on. Okay, failures and mistakes. In the old days, coaches used to yell at us for the mistakes. Today, we don't do that. Okay? We need to teach to the players that the mistakes are part of the game. We need to teach the players that what it counts is not the mistake, but is how we react to the mistake. What is the positive action that we can do immediately after the mistake? It is an opportunity. Okay? Practice is to get better. So we are going to make mistakes in practice, and we are certainly going to make mistakes in the game. When we're going to address a mistake of an individual, it's an individual. Or a group, if we teach the players that the team has made a mistake and we need to freeze for whatever reason, it is not that we're pinpointing the person, it's the team mistake. And we are stopping it to improve that situation, to give us ourselves a redo, which is an opportunity to get better. So we're teaching them that mistakes comes because we take risks. And when we take risk, there is a chance that we're going to mess up. And if we mess up, we learn from our mistakes. So the question is, what can we do better? What can you do next to improve that? Okay, and like I say, to me, mistakes are motivational opportunities to improve. we call them redos. So when I was coaching full time, I will tell my players that a redo is an opportunity to improve the situation. So they didn't see it as a mistake. They just saw it as an opportunity to improve a situation. We used to call them, I still call them redos.
Loy,
No,
Tom
yes,
Scott
sir.
has a question.
Who?
Tom Scott, you're on the air.
Okay, Tom.
Just when you're having your your personal performance goal meeting with the player, should the parent be in attendance, or is it an age group? Is the age group specific?
Well, it will be age group specific. If you have a 10-year-old girl or a boy, they should be in attendance, but they should not have that much input because it should be a conversation between you and the player. Okay? So hold on, let me go back. Here on point number 6, have a meeting with the player. You should have the parent in attendance if you think it's the best thing to do. Also, if you with your assistant coach, don't meet along with a player. That is a general rule of thumb. Okay, always be there with a parent, but it depends on the age. It depends on the quality of the player. Also, what about if the parent is not there? So maybe you just don't have the meeting that day and postpone it. But what about if you cannot have the meeting on any other day because that's the only day you see the kid? So I will say that it's up to you, the coach, to make that decision. But always inform the parent that you're going to have the meeting and that at the end of the meeting, you are going to talk with the parent and the kid of what you guys agree.
So it could be done over two, maybe set your own personal performance goal, come back with the answer. They could have discussed it. It could be done in an on-field setting, and then they can go back to the parent again.
Well, it will be better if it is a non-on-field session.
Okay.
So you might have to set up a day of meetings or something. That your idea or about sending him or her something via email and write down what you think you need to improve, and then she comes or he comes with that prepared. It's a great idea. And that's the way I probably will do it. I will not wait to that day just to ask those questions. I will prepare all the players. You're going to receive this document, read it, fill it out how you think you should fill it out. Okay, and then when they come and meet with you, the document is already filled out, and then you can talk about what is in there.
Loy, we have another question. Thank you, Tom. Sorry. Loy, we have another question from John Sanders. Just let me find you, John, and I'll unmute you. Okay, John, you're on the air.
I don't hear anything.
That's two of us.
Okay.
That's all right. I can read his question too. No, it's here.
Okay, so as a coach, you work with the player to develop SMART goals, but then the players disagree with the goals, and in return, they consistently undermine the development of goals. How do you respond to that?
Well, first of all, the player is the one that is building the goals. So how can the player disagree with the goal when he's the one building the goal? You just guide the direction of the goal. Okay.
I'm just going to intervene there. John, you got player and parent reversed there in that second piece. He said you've set the SMART goals with the player, but the parent doesn't agree with the SMART goals.
Yeah, sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is a time in which if the player and the coach has agreed that those are the goals, because the player should know what he or she needs to improve on, what he or she would like to accomplish in the period of time that they want to accomplish it. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing that you're going to do as a coach is direct what is the true goal. Because sometimes the goal is very general. You have to narrow it down. You have to make it a process goal. Okay, so that is the direction. And then he or she needs to decide what are the things that they need to do in order to accomplish a goal. Then they need to determine what are the steps to accomplish that goal. Okay, so in reality, the only thing you did, okay, you were the taxi driver, but the only thing they're doing is telling you where they want to go. And you just drive them, but they're telling you, turn here, go straight, etc., etc. So if the parent later or there disagree with that, then I guess you need to reconcile that. But the last questions we had, in which he said that, what about if we send a document via email and tell them to fill this document out by them thinking of what they need to improve? They can have help of the mom or the dad if they want it. And then when they come back to you, then you will have the document already done. The only thing you have to do is then sort out the SMART acronym. What is the specificity? Okay, how are we going to measure this, etc., etc. Okay, but whose goal is it? Is it the parent or is it the kid? And that's what the parent needs to understand, that the parent might want something, but Johnny or Mary, they don't want that. This is what they want. Is that okay?
Yes, that's great. Thanks for your response.
Okay. Maybe I should start asking, what do you think?
I would just add to that, John, that, certainly Loy's idea of a co-constructed goal between the player and the parent might head that situation off at the pass. It might. I'm not saying it will. I've also seen it where I've got video examples of it actually, where a coach brought in the players and asked them what their goals were specifically for the team, not on an individual basis, and then brought the parents in, had the kids go out of the room for a few minutes, brought the parents into the room and asked them what their goals were for the team. And then he covered up, the players' responses and wrote down the parents' responses. And lo and behold, when he brings everybody back in the room with no magic, the goals are fairly similarly aligned. And to Loy's point, it's a smart move to say, okay, so where are the differences and how can we get them to be aligned? And then set off down the path of prioritization so that you're achieving each goal and each step towards that goal. Just some ideas that I've seen from other coaches that have worked quite well.
Yeah, but we need to watch out for individual goals, not to overload the player with a huge amount of them, because they will never be able to dedicate enough time, okay, to accomplish neither. Okay, can I move on then?
Please do.
Okay, and check periodical is good. Okay, failures and mistakes, we already talked about that. Okay, so here, when we want to play a game, one way of motivating them is connect the practice that we had before with today's game. For that, between you, the coach, and the players, can we set goals for that game? Okay, ask the player what the goals of the game should be for today's game. What do they come up with? Then if they come up with one or two, one in attack, one in defense, okay, ask them how many goals they need for the attack or defense. If they need more than one or more than two, well, then this is the important one. How can they assess if they have reached their goal? So this is what the coach and assistant coaches have to start keeping data. Data can be used for motivational purposes. Okay, perhaps tell the kids that are going to be the subs, hey, can you check on Johnny, because you're going to go on Johnny, and let me know how many times did Johnny tackle the ball, or how many times did Johnny took a shot because he's a striker. Okay, and then when it's time for them to go in, okay, Johnny, how many shots did Johnny take? So many. Okay, what do you think you need to do? I need to take as many or one more than Johnny. Okay, fantastic. Go and give it a go. Okay. Okay. Then halftime comes, present the data and assess the performance at halftime. Ask them, what do you think you're doing today? Do you think we achieved the goal? This is the data that we have. What do we need to do better? Let them tell you, and then give the challenge. Reset the goals if needed, and then give them the challenge. And that's the motivational tool right there. Okay, if we want to do this and this is the challenge. Go over there and do it. No questions? Okay, and keep the parents informed. Okay, keep the parents informed of the players' goals, or when are you going to meet with them to get the goals? Perhaps, like we talked here, get the parents semi-involved, because we need to tell the parents, hey, these are your children's goal. I understand that you want your kid to be the best, but let them come up with them. Guide them if you need to, but it should be your children's goal, or your child goal if you have one kid. Okay? What are the parents' motivational roles before practice and games? That is very, very important. Teach the parents the lingo you want to use. After games, instead of asking the questions they ask, just give the kid time to decompress. Ask them if they enjoy the game, what they like. The same before practice. Don't be putting undue pressure on them. Inspire the parents to assist you to motivate their players. There is nobody better than them to tell you different ways on how you can affect the player in a positive way. They know the player is their kid. So ask them, how can I help Johnny out if I want him to do this? Can you tell me a little bit more about Johnny? Believe you me, I think they're going to like you taking an interest for him in order to help the player out. And then involve the parent in player motivation to achieve their goal. Give the parent a role at home. Can the parent help the kid to keep his schedule? Can the parent remind the kid? Or, hey, mom and dad, track how many times does he go into the backyard to do his self-training? And then at the end of the week, show it to him. I mean, there is so many things that you can ask the parents to do in order for the parents to also get involved in the self-improvement of their own kid and help as a motivational tool. Any questions?
No, and you were at the 2-minute warning.
And thank you for listening. And if you have more questions, I'm here to answer.
I will now open up the lines. It may get noisy, we'll see. But if you've got any questions for Lloyd, now would be a good time to fire away. Oh my. Rick Miani, your TV is dominating.
Oh, Rick, how you doing?
the doctors to get my hearing checked. Thank you so much for everybody for tuning in tonight. We've got our series of webinars that we're going to continue every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday for the foreseeable future, and certainly while we're under this stay-at-home, COVID-19 self-protection and self-containment period. So tomorrow morning, I will be on, Ian Molyneux, Technical Director for Massachusetts Youth Soccer, talking about skill acquisition within a play practice, play training session. And then Friday at 3 p.m., we'll have Tommy Geis talking about the importance of playing time. Loy, you've got a lot of questions that are coming through on the chat line. I will let you address those questions. So if you can open up your chat line, and then you can
but it's not working. Hold on.
Address those questions. Mostly it's thank you.
Well, no, thank you. Today is my very first time in this type of thing. Thank you. Thank you very much for listening.
Oh, Loy, you can't let Garrow's question go by. He's asking about what's our thoughts about the Development Academy being terminated. Oh.
I am going to take Ian's Molyneux position. I haven't thought about yet. Specifically me, I was thinking about this thing right now before I had to do it. So somehow I cannot get into the chat thing.
MK's asking, can we send the PowerPoint slides? Yeah, we'll certainly upload them somewhere. There will be this session has been recorded. We'll also put this up on our YouTube channel. Rob Holiday will probably tell me no, that's what we're going to do, but you heard it here first. So thanks again for your time. I'm now going to stop the recording.
Rick, are you there?
Unmute Rick.
Okay, thank you very much. Have a good night.
I'm here.
Okay, stay there.
I'm here. Yeah.
Okay, have a good night and wash your hands. Wash your hands.
Not watch them, wash.
That's what I say.
Well, I'm watching them as well. I'm watching them as well.
Well, you got to watch them when you wash them, right? Thank you, Karen. Danilo, thank you. Bye, ciao. Hey,
good night, everyone.
Luke, stay.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Lou, and Rick, I didn't receive the link for last week thing on Tactical Talk.
I'll get it to you.
Hold it.
We'll send you.
Now, I went on Monday, right? I went on Monday, and it's free. It's not $20.
No. We changed it.
Oh, okay. Good. But
we changed it.
I did see the PowerPoints and stuff.
No, we changed it. We did the donation for the Y course.
Okay, that's good.
Coach Ian, what's up, buddy?
So tomorrow you have another one, right? So it is about 7 o'clock or so like that?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock till 9 o'clock? Okay, I'm going to jump on that.
The chicken has skipped.
Yeah. Great job. Super job. Love the presentation, gentlemen.
Oh, thank you.
That is not an easy topic.
What the heck are you doing asking self-efficacy theory over here?
That is not an easy topic.
You walked right into that.
No, I didn't. I was asked, so I have to answer the thing.
Oh, it was perfect. Your response, you were building to that.
Yeah. I agree.